Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Good. Before we begin this program, I'll first invite you to stand. And I will call on Miranda Hector to open us with a word of prayer.
Good evening, everyone. Please bow your heads, close your eyes. Heavenly Father, we come before you this evening. Father, we commit and we place everything into your hands this evening. Father, we pray for the contestants. I rebuke every sense of nervousness, anxiety. I pray that we'll have a smooth flow in this friendly competition. And even as we leave to go to our respective homes, O God, I pray that we'll all arrive safely. In your precious name I pray. Amen.
Honor. Thank you. Please remain standing as we recite the national pledge. I pledge myself to honor always the flag of God and to be loyal to my country, to be obedient to the laws of God, to love my fellow citizens, and to dedicate my energies towards the happiness and prosperity of all. Thank you. You may have your seats, please. Assistant Superintendent of Police, Mr. Telson Hanover, Subdivisional Sergeant, Mr. Isan Hines, ZARA Administrative Sergeant, Ms. Tiffany Williams, Center Administrators, staff, members of the media, members of the opposing team representing Coven John Computer Center, members of the proposing team representing Bartica Computer Center, our esteemed judging panel. I am number 1 Subdivisional Sergeant, Mr. Darrell Ramsey, and it has been my distinguished task to welcome you to our second debate of our first round ZARA debating competition. This competition seeks to utilize young minds in an exciting feat of well-prepared arguments on the moot, and I quote, "Online education is better than traditional education," end of quote. So I'll advise you to sit back, relax, and for those who are nervous, restrain from biting your nails throughout this debate. Thank you and welcome. I will now call on Sergeant Williams for the introduction of the judges and teams respectively. Please give her a round of applause.
Thank you. Coordinator, ZARA Computer Centers, Mr. Hanover, Subdivisional Officers, Sergeants Hines and Ramsey, members of the media, special invitees, ladies and gentlemen, all. Tonight my task is to introduce to you our judges and the debating teams. Our first judge, our chief judge, Mr. Jared McFoy, who is an educator and author by profession. He is a trained graduate, master at Annandale Secondary School, and he has been teaching for over 5 years. He is currently a part-time lecturer at the Cyril Potters College of Education, and his passion is to impact and inspire the lives of people he interacts with. Could we give a round of applause? Thank you. Our next judge, Mr. Zulfikar Haq, who has been a school welfare officer for 14 years. He is a part-time lecturer at CPCE, and he holds a certificate in counseling, a diploma in general psychology, a BSc in criminology and psychology studies from the University of Guyana, and his passion is for learning, guiding, and helping people. And our third judge, Miss Oksana Johnson, who is inducted into the Guyana Police Force as a sergeant to execute prosecutorial duties in the Division 4C. Outside of law-related activities, she volunteers as a peer educator attached to the Adolescent Health Unit within the Ministry of Health to provide information specifically to adolescents across Guyana on their physical and mental health. She recently completed the Advocacy and Evidence for Summary Courts Prosecutors with a distinction. Ultimately, she aspires to pursue a legal education certificate at the Wooden Law School to become a full-fledged criminal law attorney. I will now introduce to you our debating team, starting with the proposing team. We have Ms. Siana Prasad, Ms. Shalana Marslow de Silva, Ms. Kimberly Chase, and Ms. Alyssa Holder. And for our opposing team, we have Ms. Deshauna Bristol, Devi Panu, Bisesar Haralal, and last but not least, Ethelene Haywood. And there we have it, our judges and our debating team. Thank you.
Good. For both the opposing and proposing team, I would just like for you to remember the rules with the timekeeper. The first speaker goes for 8 minutes. The second speaker goes for 6 minutes. And the third speaker goes for 5 minutes. Now, 1 minute before your time, the timekeeper will knock the glass. And upon completion of the final minute, he will do so twice. Good. All right, so those are part of the rules that you should be aware of. And once the chief judge indicates to me he is ready, I will now invite the first speaker of the proposition to deliver her arguments. Thank you.
Esteemed judges, colleagues, opposition, guests all, I am Siana Prasad, the first speaker for the proposition. It is my task and privilege tonight, as I fully endorse online education is better than traditional education. My second speaker, Shalana Marslow de Silva, will be touching on the flexibility and customized learning experiences and its advantages towards our unique children. Our third and final speaker, Kimberly Chase, will alleviate any shadow of doubt that you may have that online education is better than traditional education. Permit me first to educate the opposition as I redefine our mood. And I quote, online education means distance education and better means superior, as defined by the Oxford Online Dictionary. And traditional education means classroom teaching methods according to the Collins Online Dictionary, end of quote. Therefore, our mood can be defined as distance education is superior to classroom learning. Did you know that according to UNICEF, nearly 2/3 of 10-year-olds are estimated to be unable to read and understand simple text? Without urgent action, and our global learning crisis will become a generational catastrophe. Traditional education systems are failing our children. Traditional education systems were already failing our children before the pandemic. COVID-19 has exacerbated the learning crisis, and children in almost every country have fallen behind in their learning. In Guyana, online learning is bridging that gap. Firstly, not only does online learning benefit students to learn important skills and increase their potential, but it also helps countries to save money, attract foreign investment, and sustain a healthy economy. This was said by the Chief Dish College in October 2022. Imagine building a school in Wax Creek, Upper Mazaruni, that is closer to our Brazilian border for approximately $45 million, tax-paying dollars. That is the foundation for an ICT hub that will benefit everyone. Now, foreign aid is available through UNESCO and other international NGOs to support continued willing support to online education initiatives. Having a more educated workforce improves the nation's economy as we prepare for the oil and gas sector, which is a competitive market for international investment. As our Vice President, the Honorable Dr. Bar Jagdeo, would have explained in an interview in the Guyana Times in January 2023. The Guyanese government has also utilized loans from the Inter-American Development Bank as well as the World Bank to expand its competency to its people. In 2021, the government launched the Guyana Online Academy of Learning with the aim of providing 20,000 scholarships to pursue online tertiary level programs via partnerships with reputable international universities. Would our government invest in online learning if it wasn't beneficial to us? Online education is far more affordable as compared to physical learning. Take into account students' meals, accommodation, and transportation. Students are also able to work at their own pace. They do not lose their jobs and the strain on family life if they had to relocate for educational opportunities. There is also a convenience of a learning contract that helps set transparent expectations for students. Additionally, all student materials are available online, creating a paperless environment, which is used by gold universities. You may say classrooms are safe environments. However, our media, the Ministry of Education, and the Guyana Police Force may not agree. Let's take, for example, that since the beginning of the school year, how much physical violence have we witnessed in face-to-face classrooms? Would that have been possible in online learning? No way! You also have freedom to take up courses from institutions in another country and not be restricted by geographical boundaries. This was supported by Don Kilbert in an article in February 2022 entitled How Online Learning is Reshaping Higher Education. You can learn no matter where you live and what hours are available for these classes. Our Prime Minister, the Honorable Mark Phillips, had this to say as it relates to online learning. Better communication, better telephone, better ICT increases possibilities to not only businesses, but your personal life. It develops our communities. Educate yourself and educate your children. Look at Finland, the highest ranked educational system in the world according to EDSIS. Their online learning activities increased by 12.5% in 2022. This accounted for 53% of engagement in online learning according to Statsta. A student's learning style is as unique as their fingerprint. Online can be customized in many ways and various resources tailored especially towards individual students' needs. Look to your left, audience. Look to your right. I am sure many persons, like myself, would have benefited from online learning in this room. When we look at the COVID-19 pandemic that has forced Region 7 to adapt distance learning, we can concur with a Polish study. The psychological and academic effect of studying from home and host country during the COVID-19 pandemic, done in 2020. The results concluded that persons succeeded more when they were at home instead of when they were out of their home in their scholarship countries. The range of options and resources provided through online learning make each learning style possible. It creates the best possible learning environment to reach every single audience. It provides inclusivity for all students, including differently able students. I quote, "The Ministry of Education is dedicated to ensuring that all citizens of Guyana, regardless of age, race, gender, creed, physical or mental disability, or socioeconomical status are given the best possible opportunity to achieve their full potential, end quote. Me and my colleagues believe the same without any doubt to its effectiveness. In Bartica, distance learning is a blessing and continue to expand to our Amerindian communities across Guyana. Online education is working in Guyana. The results can be seen in the graduates from Goal 2023, and 63 persons graduated, with 12 being teachers. In 2023, more Guyanese are now certificate, diploma, degree holders in our hinterland regions through online education. In Guyana, a study done in 2022, our population was migrating towards this coastland from the hinterland because of educational opportunities, and this is a decades-old issue. Congratulations to every first student who wants to learn and has that opportunity now on our mountaintops, jungle, or savannah in Guyana. I speak for them tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. I will now invite the first speaker of the opposition to deliver her arguments on the moot.
Good evening, astute judges, members of the proposition, ladies and gentlemen. I, Danasha Bristol, rise as the defendant of the moot. Online education is better than traditional education. This is absurd. It is not. I repeat, it is not. Before we go into solidifying our motion, we must first understand our moot and define a few key terms. Now, according to Donovan, Mader, and Shinsky, and I quote, online classes is a form of education which is delivered using the internet. As such, it lacks regular interaction among students and teachers, which is common in traditional classes. In addition, Sediman, August 13, 2015, also posited, and I quote, online classes give students too much screen time and time disengaged from the outside world. Always being on an electronic can give you neurological issues, which is bad for students' health. On the other hand, learning in traditional classes involves direct interaction between students and the instructors. Traditional schooling gives students a chance to join extracurricular activities. These activities show students the diverse world and different characteristics among them. For example, us in this room here tonight. According to the famous Will Smith, traditional education is based on facts and figures and passing tests, and not a comprehension of the matter and its implication to our life. Hence, our moot and direction tonight is requesting that we establish whether or not online classroom teaching is better than virtual teaching. A quote by another great philosopher, Albert Einstein, and I quote, education is what remains after one has forgotten what he was taught. Thus, my colleagues and I will support our notion that online education is not better than traditional education. I, the first speaker, will be establishing the effects traditional education has on our interaction among students in a classroom through symbiotic interaction and functionalism theories. My second speaker, Ms. Devi Punu, will be elaborating on the lack of memory development, and she will also give a small bite on the expenses attached to online learning. In addition, Mr. Bisisar Hirilal, my third speaker, will enlighten you on the focus line of our students' adaptability and their lack of motivation in an online class. Irving Goffman and George Mead are interactionist theorists that posited that social cultural theory or interactions approach, which envelopes concepts within sociology and biology, more so elaborates on how language is developed. Their theory establishes that children learn languages by communicating with the world around them. Thus, language stems from, is rooted in, and dependent upon social interaction. Online education weakens and incapacitates our social interaction, more so the will and power to master the art of healthy communication. Additionally, symbolic interactionism is a social theoretical structure related to George Herbert Mead and Max Weber. It glorifies the fact that society is the product of shared symbols, especially language. Hence, the social realm is formulated by the senses that individuals attach to episodes, occurrences, and social interactions. More so, some educational problems have their basis in social interaction and expectations. Now, applying social research by Project STAR Student-Teacher Achievement Ratio in Tennessee in 1985 showed that peer relationships are a manifest function of schooling. Most of us met our friends while we were in school at whatever grade, and many of those friendships endure to the rest of our lives, I am sure. More learning can occur in traditional classes. Specifically, kindergarten teachers are better able to teach non-cognitive skills, which are cooperating, listening, and sitting still. And these skills can have an impact many years later. Robert Rosenthal and Lenore Jefferson, 1968, conducted a basic study of this phenomenon, that teachers' views affect how children learn. When teachers think students are slow learners, they tend to spend more time with students, to call on them and praise them when they do well. Not surprisingly, these students eventually learn more because of their teacher's behavior. One of the most fundamental functions of education is socialization. If children learn the norms, values, skills, and the need to function in society, then traditional education is the original and primary vehicle for such learning. Schools teach the 3 R's. These are reading, writing, and arithmetic, as we all know, but they also teach in society's norms and values. In Guyana, these norms and values include respect for authority, patriotism, respect, remember our national pledge, punctuality, and competition for grades and sports activities. Now, undoubtedly, traditional education outshines online education. Here ends my submission.
Thank you, Chief Judge. I will now invite the second speaker of the proposition to deliver her arguments.
Esteemed judges, special invitees, members of the opposition, teammates, a pleasant evening. I, Shalana Marcelo de Silva, rise before you as the second speaker of the proposition to further convince you and to shut down any argument that is aimed at disputing that online education is better than traditional education. In fact, I assure you that online education was, is, and will always be the future of education. And why am I so confident of this? Let me break it down for you with a few simple facts that will not only back up what my teammate has already proven, but will open your eyes to new and ideal conceptions about online education. I reiterate, facts. I am not here to engage in petty arguments, so I will get to the point. Online education offers more flexibility than traditional in-person learning. According to Nancy Gonzalez, Vice President of the Arizona State University, and I quote, "Many online learners choose to take fewer courses or to take semesters off to accommodate other aspects of their lives, such as taking care of children or work responsibilities. Part of why the flexibility of online learning is so appealing," end of quote. Of course it is appealing. Imagine you are a working individual and you are studying in person at the University of Guyana. Imagine leaving work at 4:30 p.m., rushing to pick up your kids, dropping them off at another caregiver, only to rush up to the university for a class that most likely begins at 5 p.m. and will most likely run until 9 p.m. Better yet, imagine that you are hungry, sleepy, and dirty, and you are seated in an overcrowded, poorly lit room where persons at the back can hardly even hear what the lecturer is saying over the most likely cheap and outdated PA system. I know that there are persons seated here tonight who have been there. Having had this experience personally, I am elated to know that my children and their children and the opposition's children, the future of my children and their children and the opposition's children is secured with the availability of ever-advancing technology that will allow them to create a balance in their life. Otherwise, impossible if they have to make themselves available for in-class learning. This takes me to my second point. Online education allows for customized learning experiences. As we all know, no two children possess the same learning style or learn at the same pace. This is heavily backed by Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences, which posits that there can be a differentiation in human intelligence into specific modalities rather than defining intelligence as a single general ability. Gardner posits in his 1983 book titled Frames of Mind, The Theory of Multiple Intelligences, and I quote, "All persons have different intelligences," end of quote. Who are you, therefore, to tell me that a child who gains 25 subjects at the CXC level is more intelligent than a child who articulately uses the computer to create graphic designs from scratch, or a child who single-handedly choreographs a dance or composes a piece of music? No way! Intelligence cannot and should not be measured using any one yardstick, hence Gardner's proposal of 9 intelligences. While I will not delve into details about each type of intelligence, it is important to note that Guyana's exam-driven curriculum and chalk and talk style of delivering education have both contributed to mass failure among pupils who might have graduated with a number of subjects but are still not rounded enough to function in the world of work. This is because the traditional in-class learning has no scope for them to shape their own education, but instead it indoctrinates learners to fit into a specific defined bracket of intelligence. The product of this is what Guyana boasts as the top 1%. But what about the other 99%? Are they not educated and capable too? Has this long-standing, boring chalk and talk era failed them? It most certainly has. But I am confident that with the introduction of online education, each learner is able to shape his or her own craft by utilizing the plethora of activities and information available to them on the World Wide Web, things which would not otherwise be available in a traditional classroom. Hence, they would only be going through the system for statistical purposes. Do any of you want that type of low-standard education for your children? I know I certainly don't. In conclusion, while there may be challenges to online learning, what I want to say to you tonight is to tell us something that we don't already know and that educators worldwide don't already know. Yet, they still agree that the pros of online education far outweigh the cons, and there is no argument that can convince the world over that remaining in an ancient third world tradition will in any way benefit millennials who are preparing for a massive technological boom in the near future. I thank you and I rest my case.
Thank you. I'll now invite the second speaker of the opposition to deliver her arguments.
Respected judges, member of the proposition, and audience, a pleasant good night to each and every one of you. I, Devi Punu, the second speaker of the opposition, will further educate and ensure we are not shaken by the timid arguments of the proposition. My first point, which hinges on the lack of memory development, and second point, which outlines the expense attached to online learning, are to solidify the fact that online education is not better than traditional education. Lack of memory development. Why do we register for so many online courses? A critical point to note is the reality that online learning does not promote memorization material in the same way that traditional learning does. An individual taking a test or quiz online does not have to worry about a teacher watching or cheating or catching them cheating. The reliance is on a nearby book or quickly browsing answer online. For example, the other day I was doing an exam and my time was running out. I messaged a friend and she quickly browsed the answers for me. Although these online tests are timed, is this really a way as students to learn? When an individual does not study nor memorize their material, it does not encourage long-term memory as compared to when they have to actually study for a face-to-face examination. This is a critical deficiency with online courses. It does not encourage healthy memory. John Gardner mentioned, and I quote, "All too often we are giving youngsters cut flowers when we should be teaching them to grow their own plants," unquote. Honorable judges, John Gardner uses symbolism to indicate that our students are to work diligently to value and possess what they want, and us as teachers are to mold them. A child does not learn how to spell simply by looking up words in a dictionary. It is done by memorizing words over time through writing practice. Think back to your school days. How many teachers explicitly taught you how to remember effectively and efficiently? Our teacher used a couple of acrostics and limericks. They probably warned you not to cram. Remember when we had to memorize our 2-time tables and we sung 2-1-2, 2-2-4, and 2-3-6, and the list goes on. This is what enables them to literally learn. Furthermore, an online journal named the Journal of Effective Teaching by William Clem expressed that the importance of education should be expressed an educational importance of understanding, but not at the expense of overlooking the importance of memorization skills. He posited that students cannot apply what they understand if they don't remember it. Moreover, a good memory expands the collection of cognitive capabilities upon which new understanding can be developed and expedited. According to researchers from Behavioral Health Director of Clinical Operations in New York, 65%, I repeat, 65% of students prefer in-person instruction compared to 80% who prefer the hybrid model, and 9% reported they could rather learn remotely. Let's go into our local realms, the Great Guyana, where the expense attached to internet computer and our economic status prohibits countrywide online learning. On the 22nd of November 2021, a student of St. Rose's High School was interviewed by the Guyana Chronicle, where she stated, and I quote, "It is difficult for my mother and we don't have the financial support since my father died," unquote. Well-learned proposition, are we so inconsiderate to the fatherless? More so, statistics show that an individual monthly expense is $433, with 65% of our public service servants being paid at least $85,000 gross incomes. Tell me, how can we afford a computer to go to classes when we can hardly survive and buy a parcel of butter to full of teeth old? Our expenses and cost of living differs the dream and reinstates that traditional education is better than online education. I repeat, traditional education is better than online education. I rest my case, Your Honor.
Thank you. I will now invite the third speaker of the proposition to deliver her arguments.
Astute judges, my worthy colleagues, members of my proposition team, good evening all. I, Kimberly Chase, third speaker of the proposition, rise to cement my team's argument to support the moot which states, and I quote, online education is better than traditional education, unquote. In an article printed by the Stabrook News on October 29, 2011, 2,000 pupils wrote information technology for CSEC. And it was reported that Guyana recorded a whopping 97% pass rate. It was therefore considered to become a compulsory subject for students. The then Minister of Education, Mr. Sheikh Bash, said, and I quote, I hope all students would write information technology at that level. He further went on to say that we cannot leave this to chance because it is critical for the development of Guyana. Today, we can all agree that that vision is being fulfilled across Guyana. Remote villages can now access free online education and platform through the many ITC hubs being set up within their communities. I made this point to say that online education and technological advancement have been recognized as the future. The Ministry of Education have embarked on a journey to distribute tablets to all nursery schools, hence the importance of introducing it at such an early age. On March 21st, 2023, via a post from the Ministry of Education Facebook page, and I read, 12 teachers from schools across the coast are the first batch of persons who have completed their postgraduate diplomas in distance education. This is a major advancement because we now have a batch of trained educators who have benefited from online education and are now qualified to deliver quality online education. As a volunteer with STEM Guyana, I can testify of the tremendous benefits and impact online education have had on our young people in our community. It permitted the learners to explore and deepen their understanding of difficult concepts. It provided repeatability, consistency, and easy to access information. So learners have the option to learn at their own pace and review learning materials wherever and whenever necessary. Aren't we all online users, whether we're browsing our Facebook or reading the news? And I know personally here in Guyana, we have been begging for better Wi-Fi services for decades. Why do you think this is so? Because we want to stay connected and we want to continue to learn. Now I know that you may want to ask us, what about the credibility of online education? And I also like to say to that we know cheating and plagiarism existed long before online education. And I would also like to take this time to ask the members of the opposition, are any one of you holders of an online certificate, or are you enrolled in an online course? If that is so, you are to be ashamed to stand here tonight against this moot. Now, learning platforms such as Moodle and Google Classrooms have been designed with online proctoring methods and premium software which track a user's interaction, limiting cheating and plagiarism. Now, these examples prove that online learning is credible.
Permit me to ask these questions. Have you noticed how many persons took the opportunity during the COVID-19 pandemic to learn new skills and explore subjects through the internet and is still continuing to do so? You don't believe me? That's okay. But via a post on the American University Peace Studies Facebook page, and I read, 25470 Lance Corporal require holder who is based at Base Camp Stevenson Tim Mary copped a credit in the short course Leadership Development. Then there's me, a teacher, a mom, a wife, and a volunteer living in Region 7. I also attain a credit in the short course Human Resource Management. Now, both of these references prove that we didn't have to leave our location or our home to advance our studies. Now, how will you advance your education if you're stuck at work or obligated to family responsibilities? How will you be at two places at the same time? Why would you rob yourself of an opportunity to advance your education at a time convenient to you? So with these facts, let me summarize our position in this debate. Firstly, online education breaks barriers such as location, financial strains, culture, and nationality. It provides flexibility and aligns with the learner's needs and preferences. And simply put, online education is better than traditional education. It is primarily of paramount importance. Thank you, and I rest my case.
Thank you. I will now invite the third speaker of the opposition to deliver his arguments.
Respected judges, members of the proposition, audience at large, a pleasant good night. I, the third speaker, Mr. Sahir Lal, will further ensure we understand that traditional education is better than online education, and in doing so, I will elaborate on the focus line of our students: adaptability, their lack of motivation in an online class, and the health issue that arise from. An article written by Sunil Kumar established that the conversation from traditional classroom and face-to-face instructor training to computer-based training in a virtual classroom makes the learning experience entirely different for students. Their resistance to change does not allow them to adapt to the online learning environment, whereas it takes time for them to get accustomed to the methods of computer-based education. Distinguished judges, students with a traditional mindset find it difficult to adapt. Constructive criticisms for their professors install in them a motivation to improve their work and build upon what they learn. Educational relationships and bond in face-to-face learning gives an advantage over online learning. More so, when students receive face-to-face verbal feedback. Furthermore, let's examine the health issues that arise from computers and different gadgets. American Optometric Association defines digital eye strain or computer vision syndrome as eye fatigue caused by prolonged exposure to screens. Do you know the popular Guyanese saying, "I don't sell a market," shows that we are to cherish our eyes. More so, I'm a product of this said health issue. I can testify that indeed online learning has infected me negatively. Quarter of us here are wearing glasses for the same reason. Esteemed judges, there is a lack of attention given to the effects of online teaching on teachers' eyes. Evidently, online learning has negatively affected us greatly. In Saudi Arabia, a total sample of 301 teachers were identified with ages ranging from 22 to 60 years. The majority were female, 17.3%. Had LASIK surgery, which involved the changing of the dome-shaped clear tissue in front of the eye to improve vision. 81.4% of teachers reported serve to mediate effects of online teaching using a computer, tablet, phone on their eye health. 52.2% reported headache. My worthy opinions, should we wait until Guyana is blind for us to believe and know that traditional education is better than online education? I would like to rest my case, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you, third speaker of the opposition. Proposing and opposing team, you have 10 minutes starting now. Please tap the glass here for me. To prepare your rebuttals. And the member of the opposition will begin theirs.
Good evening once again. Allow me to solidify and reiterate that traditional education helps with interaction and functionalism and the development of long-term memory. Now let us look at some flaws that are within the proposition's argument. The proposition stated that there has been an increase in the number of graduates. But can we say, is this 100% guaranteed that these students pass the exams fairly or honestly? For example, a student can cheat their way through an entire exam using the internet. How is this a negative effect? It will have a negative effect on the workforce. Specifically, people may be employed based on qualifications and actually not have the knowledge on how to do the job. Students who are not disciplined enough may be able to sail through successfully because there is nobody to push them around. With traditional classes, however, there are rules to put them in check. As such, these students are more likely to be committed to their education. In addition, the proposition also mentioned that children could not read before the pandemic. Now, if children cannot read, how will they be able to read what is on the internet? Who is there to teach them? If the parents are not there, who is there to guide them? You also mentioned that we are preparing for the oil and gas industry. Take a check at all the universities teaching oil and gas. Where is the learning being done? Is it online or in class? Let me answer, it is in class. Why? Because they cannot teach everything through online. We need to make sure that these students understand what is being taught and they are able to apply it in real life. All the great scientists mentioned, where did they learn? In class. What if the materials, the study materials you mentioned, what if the internet crashes? What will happen? What if your phone falls and damages and you lose all the data? How will you retrieve it? All that information now is gone. Online learning also prohibits social interaction and development among kids. Exposure and undesirable content on the internet also acts as a deterrent to learning for students in an online environment. Parents and teachers agree that the primary concern in an online classroom setting is child safety. Students are easy targets for online predators, which are also increasing cyberbullying and other crimes against them. Most working couples are unable to provide their children with the same amount of supervision that they receive from their teachers due to the lack of continual teacher monitoring in online classrooms. As it regards to the expenses, as my colleagues would have mentioned, the public servants, their salary, how can it fall at it all if a computer costs more than their salary? I rest my case.
Thank you, Chief Judge. I will now invite the first speaker of the proposition for her rebuttal arguments.
Members of the opposition, I would not like to be where you are right now. Disillusioned. I'm so sorry for you. I laugh. I laugh because I'm one of those persons that when something serious happens, you have to laugh. You have to pull yourself together. Online learning platform caters for all of us. I would like to not be in your shoes tonight as you stifle your consciences about online learning that clearly your second speaker has benefited from, as she would have indicated that she uses cheating. I shudder to say those words because I don't believe in it. Your first and third speaker talked about health issues as it relates to your eyes. Sweetheart, if you're in a classroom, a low, dimly lit classroom, and you're at the back of the class, it can strain your eyes. And clearly, if your third speaker is against online learning, that might be a possibility of why you wear glasses. Sweethearts, right? Online learning is there to help us. We have online learning as it relates to the COVID-19 pandemic. What would have happened to all of us if we did not have online learning? Our health is more important. That is why we have implemented online learning in our schools. Correct me if I am wrong. I'm not giving you a chance to. You had your chance. Sweetheart, norms and values in school? For speaker, norms and values in school today? I beg to say that a gentle teacher will not agree with you, sweetheart, because norms and values are out the door. I will tell you that feedback is important, as you would have indicated, third speaker. Feedback from teachers is important, but face-to-face feedback is not important. Online education has specific times that you can speak to your teacher. You can have that interaction and that undivided attention that we don't have in our classrooms. You have one teacher to 40 students in one small confined space. Who benefits? All of the children do not benefit. The third speaker said that you cannot catch all of them. Please, please. Why? Why are we even here to say that you can even say that online education isn't working? Sweetheart, oh. Do I need to say more? Your second speaker talked about memory and repetitive information, and information that is needed to be given to you over a period of time. Oh. Online learning platforms, I talked about it when you have your contact. It is information that is put at the beginning of the semester by online gold scholarships that you can go back throughout the entire term. Some of you, the teacher would have written when she ready for go home. If you don't get it, you gotta go and find your friend, and surely you're calling on the phone or you're checking online or you're messaging them on Facebook. Online learning again. Sweethearts, oh, this is a juicy topic, man. We're here. Memory. You talked about the oil and gas sector. You clearly do not know how important it is that we have YouTube. YouTube is your visual aid that you can use your information, you can look and repeat back. My third speaker would have interacted towards that. I cannot say more. I cannot say less. I can just say thank you for agreeing with us, because we know that you three would have benefited from online learning by your speech.
Thank you, Chief Judge. I noticed some lazy eyes within the audience. So I'll invite you to stand as we welcome our coordinator of ZARA to deliver his closing remarks.
Have your seat, please. To our subdivisional subordinate officers within the ZARA Computer Center, Sergeant Ramsey and Sergeant Hines, to my administrative sergeant, Sergeant Williams, all of the center administrators here tonight, our judges, our most impartial judges, the proposing team and the opposing team. Ladies and gentlemen all, good evening. I am extremely elated. I was very happy when I witnessed the debate competition in Adventure Borbies just 2 days ago because of the level of competition that I witnessed. Even though my team and I came up with this idea and we had something in mind, what we were expecting in Borbies, it clearly superseded what we had in mind. Tonight, listening to these two teams battling it out, it sets the bar even higher. So I had initially encouraged the center administrators to come out and witness these debates so that you can put your team at a better spot when you're debating. I am inclined now to tell you don't matter, come to the next one, because you might be intimidated or you might feel intimidated and it might affect you negatively. That's just a joke though. Congratulations to the proposing team. Congratulations to the opposing teams. We had some moments when you both hit some valid points home, and we had some moments as well where we had some humor. It is difficult to blend the two, but both teams did an excellent job. I do not want to stand in the way of you finding out who the winner is. I strongly believe that it is a tough battle. One time it looked as if we were heading on one side. Then another time it looked as if we were heading on the other side. But in my mind, if I were to judge the competition, I had it head-to-head tie leading up to the rebuttal. So the judges have their work cut out for them. I realized that they deliberated longer than they deliberated in Adventure, so I know that it was a tougher competition this time. So without further ado, I will leave the judges to come up and give their announcement. But congratulations to both teams for a job well done. Give them a round of applause. Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Good night, everyone. Frank Sonnenberg says, free speech and debate are essential in our search for truth. Let me say that again. Free speech and debate are essential in our search for the truth. All right. I am very nervous here tonight. I didn't have to debate, but judging is very difficult, eh? First thing, to keep a straight face is difficult for me too. But nevertheless, anyways, I first would like to congratulate both teams on a job well done. Can we put our hands together for them? It takes great confidence. It takes great confidence to come up here, all right? And some of you in the audience, you would be too scared to do it, all right? So they had the grit and the boldness, the courage needed to do this job here. All right. So our remarks. Let's go some general remarks. All right. First, we would like to remind our debaters that when you are debating your gestures, you don't want too much of hand movement, too much of bodily movement. Even if you're nervous, we encourage you to find a way to mask that nervousness and work through it. Proper use of the mic is also very important. But right now this mic in position right for me, but nevertheless, I gotta work with it. We had too much reading
in some instances, a lack of eye contact in other instances. We want to also remind our debaters of this setting and the context that we're in. Now, we're not here to abuse anybody out, but we are here to intellectually present our point in a confident manner that the judges and the audience are swayed into our perspective. Am I clear, everyone? All right? So with the rebuttal, we must note that with the opposition, we noticed, your language was debate friendly, but to our proposition, it was not, sweetheart. Imagine how the song, right? All right? So let's be debate friendly. And I want to also say even sarcasm has a time and a place too. All right? So let us keep our language friendly. Attitude to opponent is very important in any debate. So let's keep it friendly. Let's keep it intellectual. There's a way that we can annihilate the opposing team. That's where our language comes in, and an extensive vocabulary. Okay? And we sell it through our personality. All right? And remember, we're not here to scream, but we're here to speak properly and engage our audience. All right? Now I've said enough. Let me get down to what we all want to hear. Whew. I have to ask ASP, are we still protected tonight? That's an inside joke for all we went adventure, right? All right, this is a police compound, so I know I'm good to go either way. All right. Tabulation now, average score. I'll call both and we can know who's the winner, right? All right, proposing team, 257. Opposing team, 206. That means that the proposition has won tonight's debate. Can we put our hands together for them? All right, so they will be advancing to the next round. So congratulations. And so the opposing team, we do not want you to linger in discouragement, because I can't tell you not to feel disappointed. But I want you to know, like I always tell my students, this is a learning process. And I want you to take in everything that has happened tonight. Look at the good parts, the bad parts, and use it for something great in your life, all right? Our best speaker. I must get on to our best speaker. Who y'all think this is it, man? Who y'all think? Ooh, drum roll for the best speaker. Miss Kimberly Chase! Come on, everybody. We must say, when Miss Kimberly took this mic, without a shadow of a doubt, we all agreed. We didn't have to go back and forth on that. So can we put our hands together for Miss Chase as our best speaker? And one other point I want to make quickly, I just remember this. Let's remember when we're debating, it's very good to practice your speech. And I want to say this respectfully, let's use words that we can pronounce, all right? If we can't pronounce it, let's stay away from those words. Use words we can pronounce. Let's use words that we can effectively deliver, even in the pronunciation. We don't have to be too American or too British. We can be Guyanese, speak decently, and have a grand time. Thank you, everyone.